Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Investing Bros and my scene. I don't know why it always does that. It always moves me around a little bit right here at the beginning. Guys, my name is Tim. We got a lot to talk about today. As the title would suggest and as the thumbnail would suggest, we're going to talk a little bit about Bitcoin's rally yesterday. And a lot of people are going to say it was pretty much all about the fake news coming from Cointelegraph. They're going to say that just because of that, that's why we skyrocketed up. And yeah, that's probably why we got to 30,000. But there's another form of manipulation that no one is talking about, and it has some historical precedence. We're going to discuss that in today's show. It has to do with the country of China. China. We're going to talk about that. We're going to go back and look at the 4-year cycle and notice something very convenient. Not saying it's damning evidence, but it's a little coincidental, and you're definitely going to want to pay attention to it. But today, it is not me alone running the show. I am joined once again by my amazing co-host, T-Shroom, back from his work trip. T-Shroom, how are we feeling today? How's Gainesville treating you?
Better than I deserve. Yeah, my lips are a little chapped there, Tim.
Yeah.
Had to fix that before we get started.
Yeah.
Doing great. Got a friend staying over. Going to be doing some photography later for the engagement things, weddings, and there's lots of pictures that are involved in getting married. So that's on the docket today.
Okay.
Very excited.
Cool beans.
Yep.
Cool beans. Do you have a quote of the day for us?
A quote of the day? I most certainly do. And we're headed back to the Stoics. We took a slight deviation. We're going back. The measure of a man is what he does with power. And that is Plato.
Plato,
whoever it is.
Sure, man, is what he does with power. I agree. Plato has said a couple good things. And this is a good one, I think. This is one of his top-notch sentences. I 100% agree. You know, there's other quotes I've heard. I think, not that everything he ever says is 100% accurate, but I'm in big agreement with words that Jordan Peterson has used about men. And how a good man is capable of violence, but it's the control with that capability of violence that makes a true man. A man that's violent and acts upon that violence willy-nilly, that's right. That's a little boy. That's a little boy with a lot of muscles. But a man is always able to defend himself and those around him, but has a peace about him. And so I agree with Plato.
That reminds me of another one. If we're doing a quote pickleball here. We're passing it back. You're passing it to me. Passing it back.
Yeah,
Speak softly and carry a big stick. You will go far. Theodore Roosevelt.
I like me some Theodore Roosevelt quotes too. I actually like that one maybe better than Plato.
Yeah. Is that his big stick? That looks like a banister of some kind.
That looks like it looks like he's about to go down some steps. Yeah. And that's just there.
He's got the big stick somewhere in the vicinity. Maybe his security guard, like metaphorically the big stick.
Yeah.
I wonder when they started instituting security guards for presidents.
Probably around the time that one of them got killed.
Maybe that's the subject of today's factoid. Perhaps. Maybe not. Maybe not, though. It might be a different subject. You never know, Tim.
Okay. Well, hey, we're going to go ahead and get on in here into some crypto talk, everybody. While you are still piling in, it's 3:03. We're 3 minutes in the show. We're having a good day. It is a beautiful Tuesday.
It is.
Here in Georgia. I'm sure it's beautiful down there in Gainesville as well, down in Florida. Let's take a quick look at something important. We're actually going to go and do some stories to start the show off. We're going to jump into TA after that, so we get a clean sweep into the TA, and then we'll jump into some good Q&A. You guys love some good Q&A. The biggest thing happening today from the economic front, guys, we told you in our news update this morning. It was out when you guys saw the video, but it wasn't out when we made the video, so that's why we couldn't talk about it. Retail sales coming in at 0.7%. Now, that's lower than last month, but this is month over month. Doesn't really matter that last month was 0.8% because we're not talking about year over year. We're talking about since last month, it continues to climb another 0.7%. Well, consensus was 0.3, forecast was 0.3, which means we way outdid the expectations. And this communicates that despite the fact that the country, the government, and the people of the United States continue to go into debt day after day, we haven't stopped our purchases. We continue to purchase more and more goods and services and go into debt further to do so. And you guys will see, again, there's probably a couple factors that go into this, but after hovering around 90% on the CME Group's predictions for the probabilities of what we're going to have with the FOMC meeting here in about 2 weeks, It's still pretty heavily saying we're going to stay paused, but it dropped almost 5% down to 85.9%. So definitely something that had some impact. Tomorrow, there's going to be a little bit more that could go further. Great Britain's going to have inflation rate and core inflation, but here in the United States, we'll also see building permits. Let's wait to see what happens with building permits. The expectation is that we should have a drop. We should be down at 1.45 million, maybe 1.46. But we'll see where we come in there. That could have some more impact that allows Jerome Powell to continue to potentially raise rates. Very quickly, let's take a look at the markets, and then we're going to throw it over to T-Shroom for some stories, and then we'll jump into TA later. Everything's red right now in the 24 hours, at least in the top group. Let's take a look here. Wrapped Bitcoin staying slightly green. Toncoin staying slightly green. Actually, that's not slightly. That's 6%. Toncoin's having itself a day. Almost everything else, though, in the top 20, definitely looking like it's in the red. My mouse is once again saying it does not want to scroll. Let's take a look at our biggest gainers, biggest losers of the last 24 hours. Toncoin taking that number one slot, up 6%. OKB coming number 2, up 5.3. ApeCoin, it was up this morning. It's up once again, up 4% on the day. Shout out to DZ. It's about time. About time that we had some green days for ApeCoin. Glad for them. Let's take a look at some losers today, though. Loom continues to be our top loser. Remember last week we talked about it was up over 116% in the last 7 days. Now it's down 19% over 24 hours, and we're down to only 20% up in the last 7 days. So it continues to bleed. Thorchain down 8% today. Sui down almost 8%. Uniswap down almost 7%. So we do have a lot more losers today than we have gainers. That's your crypto update. Let's go ahead and throw it to T-Shroom. T-Shroom, I'm going to talk a little bit more about China when it gets closer to TA, because I don't even know if you know what I'm going to say about China. In fact, I didn't share my secrets with T-Shroom. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I don't, but I have been Googling things. Believe it or not, I have access to the internet here in my studio, and I have been Googling some things, and I don't know if you know this, Tim. I don't know if you know this headline. I'll go ahead and lead with it.
Yeah.
Which is this. That Evergrande's economic tremors are triggering a bank run in northern China. Now, I will say that there aren't any mainstream media sources running this headline yet, but you can see it on a couple of crypto and kind of maybe not conspiracy, but lesser known websites. So that doesn't mean it's not true, but it also doesn't mean that we can trade on this information quite yet here. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised,
Trick upon you, T-Shroom. Oh. I actually did know about that.
Oh, wow.
In fact, I know more than that about China.
Wow.
But again, we're gonna wait till we get closer to charts, because that's gonna have heavy impact on charts. Like, I'm gonna have to show you guys on the chart what we see going on. I haven't seen anyone else talk about it, and to me, it's just a little too coincidental. And I think it's important. But yeah, let's talk about other big stories happening, and then we'll get into those charts here in just a couple of minutes.
Absolutely, Tim. We've got some other stories here. A whale bought $5.7 billion in Bitcoin futures amid Bitcoin ETF fake news. So I don't know if they know something we don't, or if we know something they don't, right? Which is that probably wasn't the best time to buy. Pretty crazy. But this tweet here from Ki Young Ju said someone's bought someone's yes, that's accurate. Bought $5.7 billion worth of Bitcoin futures using market orders in an hour, and 42 million in short positions were liquidated across all exchanges. So quite a big purchase there. Tim, everybody wants to know, was it you?
Well, first of all, I'm insulted that you would say it was me.
Yeah.
I've been working on my figure for a while, and I would not classify myself as a whale.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm regular, above regular.
Okay.
But no, it was not me. I cannot buy 5.7 billion. That's a little out of my price range, a little out of my purview. But I lean towards, I don't think that this person made a good purchase. Especially like if you had told me that they had purchased this the night before, I would have said, all right, we got somebody with some information that none of the rest of us knew. But the way this kind of breaks down, looks like they purchased upon the fake news release, which is what I think a lot of people did, believing that fake news. And then, they're stuck now. And guess what? That's how manipulation works. They FOMO you in, and then you get stuck.
Yep. It's gonna be kind of radical. Well, Tim, I want to ask you a question. Do you recognize this website?
Roblox. Be real with you, Chief. No, I don't.
That is because you are above the age of 14. This is a very popular game online for chillins. You can play it in your web browser, and it is also a publicly traded company on its own. It's not owned by other companies. It's owned by Wall Street. And so why am I bringing this up, Tim? Not to try to lure you into some children's game. It's because Roblox is now starting to accept XRP payments for in-game purchases through BitPay and Zola. So pretty interesting development there. Nothing huge, nothing explosive, but it's something for the starved XRP community to get excited about here. And, maybe they'll consider checking out Roblox. I have played it. It is fun. I've not played it a lot, but I've played it with my younger cousins, and it's kind of like digital Lego, but so was Minecraft. So I'm not exactly sure why kids would play this over Minecraft, but they do. And they do it in droves to the tune of a multi-billion-dollar company I believe Roblox is. Moving right along, we talk about this one in the morning. BlackRock boss says Bitcoin pump on fake ETF news shows pent-up interest in crypto. It most certainly does. We've got a clip from the man himself, Mr. Larry Fink, ruler of the world.
This rally is way beyond the rumor. I think the rally today is about a flight to quality with all the issues around the Israeli war now, global terrorism. And I think there's more people running into a flight to quality, whether that is in treasuries, gold, or crypto, depending on how you think about it. And I believe crypto will play that type of role as a flight to quality. This rally is way beyond.
So there you go, Tim. We talked about it this morning, but have your thoughts evolved at all on these comments, especially around the pent-up demand? And really, what is undeniable at this point, I would think, that Bitcoin will go up when these ETFs are accepted.
I think they will go up over a period of time. I do not think, and again, I told you guys, those who watched this morning, I kind of see this as a scenario, and forgive me if you guys don't love football, but this is a perfect analogy if you do watch football. There's a lot of times where you will see a play, the offense will line up, they'll be in their formation, they'll hike the ball, and you start to see what the offense wants to do, right? But the refs are blowing the whistle. They're killing the play. There was either a timeout or a penalty. But this gives the defense a very heavy advantage because now they know the play that you're about to run. They kind of understand a little bit better. And so either you have to change your play, which you might have had a good one lined up if you're the offense, or you run it again and the defense is cued off as to what happens, right? I see this as a similar situation to where we had a false start. We had a jump based off of fake news. Clearly, whales and retail alike had dry powder waiting on the sideline for Bitcoin's news. This now showed us a massive ability to have a heavy inflow of purchasing of Bitcoin that BlackRock and others will know is coming. What does this mean? They're tipped off at the play. We could see it spike. We could see them want to purchase in as well, knowing that other people are going to buy and the price is going to skyrocket. Or even better, and this is something that Wyckoff teaches very heavily, they can utilize the hardcore FOMO that they see in the average retail investor, and they could say, let's manipulate the price. When everyone wants to go long, let's aggressively go short. And if we go short stronger than they do, price will go down, we'll make money, they'll lose money. Then we can go buy that amazing, asset at a lower price. I think that that's what we're going to see happen here, T-Shroom. So I'm going to continue to have my same prediction that when we get the official approval, there will be volatility. That means price go up and price go down. But don't be surprised if at worst it stays a little bit, or at best it stays sideways. We rally up a little bit, we crash really hard, but then we stay pretty much exactly where we started the whole thing off. I think the reality is you actually see a little bit of a decrease at first, and then that rally comes months later, right in time, again, with my prediction of an ETF approval between January and March of 2024. I think that stays right in line with the concept of a 4-year cycle is going to come. We're going to see the halving happen in April, but the real growth in the Bitcoin price is going to come a couple of months later, summer of 2024. That timeline continues to add up. So to me, I'm going to continue to wait and say the real explosiveness is coming summer of 2024. The best time to buy is going to be sometime late November, early December of 2023.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people would agree with you there, Tim. We still got time. Again, the stock to flow model predicts that the halving will be April 29th, somewhere in that vicinity, probably within a deviation of 72 hours, something along those lines. Right, but it will precipitously move to the upside. Again, this is a average, which, again, the price of Bitcoin never actually tracks it 1-to-1. There's no way that would happen. but it's pretty darn close. So Tim, you're absolutely right, and that is actually going to conclude. Believe it or not, it's going to conclude our stories from today. But we did get a pretty interesting chat here from one of the bros, a longtime bro, Crux of Crypto. He said, "Fun fact: Roblox is a top 5 biggest game in the U.S. and UK, with about 700 million in revenue per year. There are games in Asia pulling in 2.7 billion per year. So, Tim, if you think that's a big game, you're really not taking into context the greater Asian theater of gaming. So he's setting you straight there.
Yeah, you're right. I will forever be wrong about that.
CBD Suddy said, "Is Roblox a blockchain game or just has item that can be bought with crypto?" It's not a blockchain game. I can tell you that. I don't know how much more they've integrated it, but my guess is that you really can probably only pay with things with XRP. But that's pretty big, Tim. That's pretty big. That I would say, because kids do spend money on that game, and that's why a lot of folks are bullish. Let's actually pull up the check the ticker for this really quick. I don't know exactly what it would. There it is. Roblox Corporation RBLX. Let's look at the weekly so you can see it's a little bit underbought right now.
If you're wanting to share your screen, that would be a great click of a button. There we go.
Yes. So not a ton of history from the chart. It IPO'd back in March 8th, 2021, but you can see it's been kind of range bound here. Really, I mean, this was in a kind of an extreme peak, but range bound between about $45, call it, and this downtrending line of support I haven't drawn, but about $25. So, you've probably been doing pretty well if you're trading this, but as an investor, I'm probably kind of getting over the sideways movement. But where have we heard that?
You do a lot of drawing,
Drawing.
Yeah.
I do from time to time. Which, Tim, are you ready to go ahead and get into your charts?
We are going to get at my charts and take a quick look at them, but we're going to have to throw it back to you for the good old trivia of the day. The trivia elf is going to come, but we're going to take a look here, guys. Bitcoin, of course, yesterday had a big candle. That it's back down. We're not below support. We're kind of regaining some support here, but we're going to break this down, what this could look like if we see a repeat of 4 years ago, and we're going to talk about China. But I'm going to have to give you guys just a couple of minutes before we get there, because we do have our trivia of the day brought to you by the elf. What's he got for us today, T-Shroom? He's going to stump me like he did. He did stump me last time. I'm going to be honest with you. He got me.
Tim, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm thinking you're not going to get this one. What was the first
I don't think so either.
street gang? Was it
Pagans.
Hell's Angels, the Crips, the Pagans, or the 40 Thieves? Give us a quick guess, because I'm sure you don't know this.
Are the Pagans actually a gang, or is that just something?
It is a gang, Tim.
Okay.
How dare
I know
you?
of Hell's Angels and Crips, but goodness gracious. I have no idea. I'm going to be real with you. My knowledge of street gangs is one of the lowest areas of knowledge I think I possess.
Very limited.
But let's go with freak. Let's go with Crips. Let's go B.
Going Crips. Going B.
I don't know any of the signs or anything either, so I can't.
And I don't advise you try to do those. So let us know down in the chat which of these street gangs.
Wait, hold on.
First.
I made a mistake last time. Gia says go 40 Thieves. I didn't go with Gia's guess before. That bit me in the butt. I'm changing to D, 40 Thieves. I'm going with Gia.
Okay. I don't know how the Factoid Elf feels about you being able to look at the chat and phone a friend.
Well, the elf has never given me really any rules as far as what that would look like.
It's true. That is true.
So to be fair, sorry about that, elf. You didn't specify anything. I didn't break any rules.
I think we're all ready to go ahead and dive right on into the charts. What do you say, Tim?
Let's do it, guys. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour chart. Before I even pull up oscillators and everything else, I want to bring to your guys' attention what was happening even before the fake news from Cointelegraph that took the Twitterverse by storm for about 10 minutes. Well, actually, let's look at that. We talked about this a little bit yesterday during my stream, but this was the explosiveness. 9:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we start going nuts. We officially hit the 30,000 during the 9:35-minute candle, but you guys can see we very quickly, within that time period, began to drop back down, and then the next 15 minutes were pretty brutal for the price of Bitcoin. So overall, pretty much about 20 to 25 minutes of real excitement in the Bitcoin space. But going back to the 4-hour chart, because this is, that's all the information we need for right now. We were not just twiddling our thumbs as Bitcoin holders before this fake news came out. In fact, if you look at the candles right before the explosive one, Bitcoin in one 4-hour candle during the middle of the night, during the trading hours of who, T-Shroom?
China.
During the trading hours of China, we broke not one level of resistance, not two levels of resistance, but three major levels of resistance. Hit our head on the 4th at 28,000. And I was thinking to myself, holy cow, that's pretty impressive. We did our news update, T-Shroom, and we were talking about, hey, listen, things are possible. Bitcoin's moving. I told everyone to keep their eyes out around 28,600. I said there was an outside chance based on the daily chart. Maybe we hit 29.6, maybe close to that 30K. Didn't think it was going to happen. I just wanted to prepare people. But we did not have to wait upon the fake news to get a little bit of a pump, but rather we waited on China. And China did this for a multitude of reasons. They not only did it because they heard of the news. This was part of the catalyst we talked about. They heard about the United States and how the United States might be approving an ETF soon. We also, though, T-Shroom, we knew about those bank runs. Those bank runs actually in China happened earlier last week. Why? Because China printed a little over 100 billion new Chinese yuan. We talked about this a little bit yesterday in the live stream. Obviously, T-Shroom, you weren't able to join us, but China is pumping the price of Bitcoin right now. Let's even take a look at this, guys. Let's just think through this. We rally up here. We exploded 30,000, but where do we fall back down to? We fall right back to almost the exact same levels of the former resistance of the China news. Why? Because the China market was the one that really propped this up. Now remember, let's go out to the daily chart. I told you guys, I'm having some fun today. We're doing some back analysis here. I have compared this most recent move quite heavily to something that happened back in 2019. I have said very much so that I thought that we are kind of sitting in this little range right here. What are the dates of this range? Well, this big candle was Friday, October 25th. This one, Saturday, the 26th of October of 2019. I said I think we're in the exact same area, a couple of weeks, less than 4 years, but that the same way we'd have an explosive time with a big wick, we would then start coming back down. But you know what, T-Shroom?
What's that?
I did a little bit of research.
Uh-oh.
And if you were to go back, if you guys could remember, those of you, maybe someone watching here was involved in Bitcoin back in October of 2019. But do you know what caused these two explosive green candles?
Chinese wallets?
It was China. China Z, that's the president, embraces blockchain, boosting crypto sentiment. Bitcoin prices surged Friday after the Chinese president said his countrymen should seize the opportunity afforded by blockchain technology. Now, those of you who know about China's relationship with Bitcoin, it's been very up and down. In fact, even though the big crash that we had over here back in May of 2021 was mostly caused by good old Elon Musk, China was involved in this area as well. In fact, China has constantly been at a place where they are flip-flopping their opinions about Bitcoin, and it has massive implications for price. And I'm just saying, what have we seen happen over the last couple of days? We've seen China have some economic problems. They're pushing themselves towards saying, hey, we need to start using Bitcoin to get out of it. Right in line with the same 4-year cycle that we had one more good pump before a bigger fall to come later based off of China FUD. So again, I haven't heard anyone talking about this, not a single person. Yet the coincidence is quite eerie. And I think I used that word correctly. I could be wrong, T-Shroom.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
I
right
think
on.
that's the right use of it. But yeah, so I wanted to start off with that. We haven't even looked at indicators, oscillators, everything else. There's another coincidence we have going on with this 4-year cycle that continues to keep it in a similar type of scenario. Before we started this little rally here, now of course, while the most explosive parts of it have happened back here, we started this uptrend way back where? Back here in early September. Well, what happened there? Death cross. Remember, death cross is supposed to be so bad. They're supposed to send us down to brand new lows. And yet, as we warned you, these are the most unreliable indicators out there. It led to a rally. It led to a pump. Well, let's go back to 2019. We had a death cross back here as swell. When? Boom. Right there on October 25th. And guess what October 25th was? October 25th was the bottom of this little pullback. People probably thought this was the bottom, especially after China seemed so bullish about Bitcoin. Same thing back here. We kind of hit a new bottom. We start to see some explosiveness moving to the upside. Right around this time period, we also started hearing a lot more about China's economic problems. China has been involved once again. This time took a little longer than 2 days of pump, but it's kind of sitting here with a lot of coincidences and repeats of the 4-year cycle. And of course, this keeps us right in line with our good old head and shoulders pattern that is still formulating here on Bitcoin. Do not be surprised whatsoever to see that continue to hold up. I am still going to hold, I believe. Look at this box right here. This is going to be where I'm watching. I have this as high as 21,793. I actually could go a little lower here. Let's go down all the way to 19.3. So this is not going to be a perfect little square. I do have a box down here. You guys know if we were to go ahead and draw our head and shoulders pattern and our breakout of that head and shoulders pattern, that's going to send us to the bottom of this little box right here. It's not going to probably be perfect, guys, but stick. Oh, it looks pretty good. Did a pretty good job drawing right there. That's gives us the bottom level. And then, of course, we have Fibonacci. I've talked about this here now for at least a week or more, saying I'm interested to see what happens when we get to the golden pocket area on the linear chart from the low of the bear market up to this most recent pre-bull market rally. We're seeing a lot of things kind of come back into consideration here. So watch out for this little, it's not a box. That's a elongated rectangle. Watch between the dates, somewhere late November. I kind of just threw in a late November date. I threw in an early December date, a mid-December date. Watch for price action potentially to start dropping back down to this level in the next couple of weeks and finish out that good old head and shoulders pattern. As far as the rest of Bitcoin is concerned, let's kind of touch up some more details here, maybe on some shorter time frame stuff, and then we'll take a look at some other coins as well and get into some Q&A that you guys get to ask us what you want to look at. I know T-Shirt wants to look at Caspa. I know many of you guys love Caspa. Crux of Crypto said, Tim solving the Bitcoin riddle, smash the likes, China manip. That sounds like I'm saying something else.
China manip.
China manip.
I like that. Sounds like a tasty, like artichoke dip. China manip. Like some kind of zest.
I don't think so. All right. Let's take a look here, guys. 4-hour chart screaming overextended. We didn't just get the good old overbought signal here on the 4-hour chart. We got the red reversal. We got the engulfing candle. Whatever. I still, Piper has not told me. I always forget to ask him. Whatever this little reversal dot, these are great dots, by the way. These dots are pretty brutal when you're looking at the money flow. We do see on the 4-hour chart as well, the money flow is keeling over after moving to the upside in the money flow since back here in October on the 11th. You guys can see the money flow is reversing. It's keeling over, kind of rounding off the top here. Looks like we're heading back down to the downside. So that 4-hour chart again telling us about the 24, 48 next hours of Bitcoin looking pretty bearish. Coming along with that red reversal, we did wick again with the fake news. We wicked above this level all the way to 30,000, but we quickly fell back down into the red wave on the 4-hour chart, and we're looking like we're heading back down to the downside. Now, don't expect this necessarily to be a brutal fallback below to 26.6. I'm not going to be surprised if we at least temporarily hold up on some of these support levels we regained, right? But we are seeing it look like Bitcoin is cooling off after this explosive run. What's going to be interesting, though, that 26.5, that's going to be my point to kind of say we got to watch see if price action drops below. Because remember, despite the fact that I have been bearish, I have to admit, for the bulls, since back here in September on the 11th, we have been setting higher highs and higher lows. And even though we broke the trend, this is a higher low back here, and this is a higher high. So to make this trend be brand new, price does need to go below 26,500, and therefore we have then broken that bullish trend. The trend is your friend until it ends, and I think it's getting at least close to the end of that little trend, T-Shroom.
Yeesh.
Let's go ahead and, you know what? We're gonna let the chat now decide. We got a lot of charts we can look at, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw it to you guys. Let's go back to Brocam here. What do you guys want us to chart for the rest of our time? We have about 30 minutes left on today's show. What do you guys want to talk about? T-Shroom, while we're waiting for some answers to come in, I know you are just kicking your own butt right now to try to get this Caspa TA out. So let's go ahead and hit that Caspa TA while we're waiting on some chat.
Yes. Well, what I want to show in addition to Caspa TA is if you look at the and I know I need to share my screen.
Oh, there you go.
Let's just take a look at Caspa. I was going to try to compare it to oil. Take a look here. Oil, but it's on a different time scale, so I kind of was not able to stick the landing there, but you can kind of see these both started to kind of take off around the same spot and are on a similar angle of uptrend here. Caspa and oil, just a little happy coincidence there, interestingly enough. Caspa doing pretty well. I bought it here. My initial position I think was like somewhere up here, so I've got a nice little average. And I'd say this is going to go higher. The reason that I had it going out to the weekly is because you do see big bearish divergence here. Can you see it? No, neither can I because it's terribly zoomed in here. Give me just a second.
Tragic.
Yeah, but as you can see here, pretty obvious. The chart prime picked it up as well. You can see this bearish divergence. How do you remember the bearish versus the bullish divergence, guys? I've got a trick, right? This is like the bear. It's the open mouth of the bear, right? And then when it's like this, you can kind of think of it as the bulls of the horn kind of coming together, the horn of the bulls kind of coming together in case you have trouble remembering those things. Tim giving me a very inquisitive look. I know what he's thinking. Why didn't I come up with that? So there we are.
No, I think I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree with that pretty strongly. And you want me to explain to you why I disagree with that?
Lay it on
me. There's a much easier trick to bullish and bearish divergences. Do you want to know what that is, T-Shroom?
Show us.
All right. If you are talking about bottoms, and I'm talking about bottom price actions, there's no such thing as bearish divergence using bottom of price actions, bottom of oscillators. By the way, you always compare bottoms to bottom. Someone's gonna clip this. You always compare price bottoms to oscillator bottoms. For bullish divergence, you always compare price tops to oscillator tops for bearish divergence. The problem is, and I have to draw this because I don't want to waste time looking for an example. Let's pretend we're talking about bearish divergence here. There's a couple different ones. The most common one, if this is price action, right? So that's the candle body. We have our split right here. And then we see the oscillator do this instead of lower high. This is what we would call strong bearish divergence. It's a reversal sign, right? But if we're looking at a different form called continuation, let's say the price action puts a higher top in and then a lower top in, right? So this isn't a bull trend. This is a bear trend. Now you split the screen. You have your oscillator. The oscillator puts in a lower high and then an upper high. This isn't a reversal bearish divergence. This is a continuation bearish divergence. Why is it bearish? Because we're comparing the tops, not the bottoms. In the same way, when we're looking at bullish, a reversal would be higher low and then a lower low. So the trend is still bearish, but the oscillator does the opposite and it puts in a higher. This is a reversal bullish divergence because we're comparing the bottoms. A continuation would be lower bottom, higher bottom coming in the second wave, but the oscillator is the opposite and it goes lower. That's a continuation divergence, or what we call a hidden divergence. So yeah, good. Your analogy was good, but you can have both of them go the same way. The simple trick is you only find bullish when you're looking at price bottoms and oscillator bottoms, only find bearish when you're looking at price tops and oscillator tops. That's your trick when it comes to divergences.
So bearish is tops, bullish is bottoms.
Bearish is tops. Yep.
Bearish is tops, bullish is bottoms. Another one that got shouted out is TLT. TLT is the bonds index, actually the value of the bonds, not the rate. So it's the value of the bonds, which is very interesting. And you can see it's just been selling off heavily here. This is the ETF of it. And yeah, selling off pretty heavy. I mean, this is going back to the beginning of 2023, and it's had quite a drop, and it doesn't show too many signs of stopping. Although you do have the potential for a higher low here, but ultimately not looking good. While we're at it, we
not great.
We very seldom look at the bond markets here. As you can see here, the 10-year is up to 4.8, almost. No, I would say it's almost caught up with the 3 and 6 month, but the 3 and 6 month have gone even higher since we've been tracking it. But yeah, these bonds are ripping today. Bond yields are ripping today. So yeah, what else we want to look at?
Well, yeah, we got people asking for some quant. I did see a question earlier, and we just got to chat, so I have to disrupt my thought now, and that's completely fine though, because we love Eric Wallen. He's been a member for 3 months, by the way, halfway to that blue badge. So keep it up there, Eric Wallen. Can you look at Symbiotic, SYM? I'm at a crossroads with it, 40% up. You know what? We're gonna make that go to the top, but is Symbiotic? Is that just its own ticker, or is he? Yeah, it's his own ticker. All right, so we're talking about the NASDAQ here. Let's take a look here. Daily chart. So we're not done here necessarily. We're setting a new green candle. We did break a trend of we were setting higher highs, higher lows back here, and then we started setting a lower low right here. So you'd have to kind of question that. Are we gonna be able to repeat, get back up to 60? What is this? 60, give or take $64 on that. Let's take a look at oscillators really quickly. Yeah, not loving that. But, that's so hard. Yeah, this red reversal didn't come in until this most recent candle. Even though we started flashing overbought, this is something I actually was looking through trial and error, guys. These triangles, don't look at the middle point. Look at the farthest right part of it. That's when it triggered. So it triggered on this candle right here, which means we need to see how this candle closes before we can say with any type of certainty that we're going to avoid it. We did avoid that little red dot, though. So that's very interesting. It's got on the verge here. Like, this could be bullish because it could be ignoring this. Let's look at some other things as well. But not loving what the oscillators are looking like. It doesn't. Why does it not have? I don't know why. It definitely has enough time to have given us waves here, but it doesn't want to give us any waves, momentum wave bands. I don't know why. We're well above the dynamic reactor. Does it give it to us on the 4-hour chart? It does, and we're overextended on the 4-hour chart for sure. Does it give it to us on the 8-hour? No, it does not. Don't know why. How old is the chart? Okay, it gives it to us on the 6-hour. But it only starts recording them right here. So, yeah, you're not going to get anything on the upper than that. But, yeah, so 6-hour overextended, 4-hour overextended. A lot of bearish stuff here. Now, what you're going to see is we did ignore this one on the 4-hour chart, and we're moving to the upside. But the fact that we're heavily into that red wave band, not what you necessarily want to see. Also, if I'm looking at this correctly, even though it's technically still moving to the upside, 4-hour chart money flow is slowing down for sure. 6 hours pretty much looking the same. Let's see what the daily chart. Daily chart's still climbing very quickly. So it's high though. It's very, very high, but it could continue to move to that upside. This is going to be a really, really hard one to say with certainty, Eric, because there's an absolute chance that it just continues to move very bullishly. Let's take a look at Fibonacci levels and see, where we're kind of sitting right here with Fibonacci. Right below the 0.5. So again, another that makes me kind of feel like that's a normal pullback. The fact that we're seeing these oscillators be overextended alongside of that, we go to the daily chart, it's something to be interested in. There's absolutely a chance we make a way back up to the golden pocket here. But again, I don't see this one, the way it's flowing. We're setting new lower lows, lower highs. We did break on this trend. This is where Elliott waves. I'm not necessarily an Elliott waves expert, but that to me does look like a little ABC correction here, that maybe we're starting something new. Wouldn't say anything that we really have started any first wave. You could make an argument on Elliott waves that maybe this is a first wave. It's a pretty pathetic first wave. I guess it's kind of okay. But isn't there a rule? Didn't we learn there's a rule like the middle wave can't be the longest? I don't remember the exact rule. I do think we're working on a fifth wave here, though. I do think this is going to be a part of a lower high. I don't think we're getting back up here. The question, though, is, again, Fibonacci, are we getting back up? Are we going to reject right here at 0.5, or we're going to keep going up to golden pocket? Do we make a push to platinum pocket? I don't know, but I will say this is not necessarily the chart that gives you a lot of joy on the daily chart. especially since the most recent signals we've seen being bearish have been pretty spot on. We haven't seen a rejection. This is kind of one of those, again, no financial advice here, Eric, but like you might want to just trust. If you're in a long here, you might want to take some profit and kind of wait to see, do we keep moving to the upside? But I would be surprised if this does not come down. If it doesn't come down now, if it gets above golden pocket, I'd be a little surprised looking at Symbiotic. But again, I don't know any fundamentals. I don't know the news. T-Shroom, do you know anything about them? Have you ever heard of them?
Negative.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Eric, but I hope that answers as best as we can. Let's take a look. We did have some questions about Quant. There was a question about Ethereum matching Bitcoin. I can't remember who asked it. Was it CBD Study asking about Ethereum and Bitcoin? I've been doing a lot. CBD Study said, did Ethereum not act similarly to Bitcoin? CBD Study, comment below. Give me a little more clarification so I can answer that better. Give me a time period or something, because there's times where Ethereum acts similar. There's times where it doesn't. So I definitely need to hear some more details there before I can give you a good answer. It's an AI play, says Eric Wallen. Okay. AI's a good investment. So yeah, the charts are not looking great, but AI's newer as well. So there's always a chance it kind of ignores the charts. I would say this one heavily look at the TA I just did, Eric, do your own TA, and then heavily look at the news and what adoption looks like and a lot more there. All right. I'll get back to you in just a second, CBD Study. Looking at Quant. Quant very much screaming at us on the daily chart that it's time to buy. A lot of peak seekers right here more recently. You guys can see back here, we had a double peak seeker. We actually had a nice little rally off this support level. How far did we rally? We rallied 23%. We're also getting very, very close to where we are at in the falling wedge to have a move to the upside. Now, this is going to be interesting because, of course, I told you guys, I think Bitcoin's going down and majority of altcoins are going to follow it. But we're seeing something very different when it comes to Quant. I'm interested with the weekly chart. Weekly chart's looking bullish. Quant might have its own little mission, its own little trip, because we're sitting so low. I mean, recently we hit new bear market bottoms for this bear market. Let's see. Did we? Nah, I guess I'm saying that's not true. I'm lying. I do that from time to time. We didn't hit new bear market bottoms. That happened back here in June of 2022. We hit more recent bottoms, though. Definitely lows for the year. The last time we were at this price level was all the way back here in July of 2022. Quant might be about to bunk the trend, move to the upside, especially being in this falling wedge pattern and having some explosiveness to the upside, along with the oscillators kind of screaming at us, time to buy. Again, daily chart, we haven't had the chart's not old enough to see anything from that. Let's go down the 4-hour chart, see if it gives us some waves on the 4-hour chart. Tight range, very tight range. It's still going to hold us. It's going to want price to kind of buck this trend and start moving back to the upside. So, I think they could be up for it. Let's see what the 4-hour chart's saying. We did more recently have reversal. Come on. It always zooms out on me and then it's so small. And I know you guys can't see it very well because I can't even see it very well. And I see it better than you guys. Let's see here. Reversal here at this one. We definitely had some bearish divergence there, but it's looking already like we might set up some bullish divergence on the 4-hour chart. It could absolutely go. It could go down here for a little bit more and touch support again after rejecting. Yeah, that's another thing. We have not broken the 4-hour dynamic reactor since back here, August 25th. We've been using that as some solid resistance. So that's what I'm going to kind of watch for here, guys. I think I want to see Quant on the 4-hour chart break the dynamic reactor. And that, to me, would be a very positive sign that bulls are back in at least a form of control over on Quant. Now, moving into Ethereum. So CBD Study did comment a little bit more here. So let's take a look at this. Just want to see if it acted the same with China with the whole pump. Yeah, okay, let's take a look. I actually don't know. I've been doing a lot of Ethereum TA here recently. And you guys are going to see probably this weekend the fruits of that labor. Not all the fruits, but a lot of them. Let's see, October 25th of 2019. Where are we? Right here in this range. No. And there's a little bit of a pump here, but not necessarily anything nuts. The first day, well, it is. It's just on the 26th, we had a nice red candle. What do we have here? How explosive do we get over those 2 days? We rallied 38%. That's pretty good. Let's see. I don't even know if I looked at the exact rally on Bitcoin over that 2-day time span. Let's take a look. 38% on Ethereum. And 40%, 41%, 42%. I'm going to get to that exact peak. 42% on Bitcoin. So Bitcoin outpaced it, but technically speaking, it makes sense that Ethereum and probably a lot of things. Let's take a look at Cardano as well, because even though the headline says Bitcoin, what the Chinese president said is to seize the opportunity afforded by blockchain technology. So at this point, I would imagine a lot of things in crypto at the time. Now, there was a time period where Bitcoin was gaining dominance. That explains why it outpaced good old oh, yeah, this is from my tweet the other day. I hadn't cleared it out. The 98% dip, then a 16.5% rally, 16,500. Get rid of those because don't need them. Did my TA. Let's take a look. Log chart, Cardano. Let's find October of 2019. Got a good dip for Cardano for sure. I'm going to imagine it's this little spike over these two candles right here, 24th, 25th. So Cardano kind of started theirs a little early, and it rallied over those next couple of days. Over those 2 days, it rallied 16%. So Cardano didn't really get that much. It continued to rally up 22, but no, Cardano, okay. Bitcoin and Ethereum seemed like they were the big ones. Who would have been around? XRP has not been under the lawsuit yet. Let's see what they did back in October 2019. Doesn't look like XRP rallied that much. It seems like Bitcoin was the main one and Ethereum kind of trailed right behind it. I'm going to assume it's these 2 days right here. Yeah, kind of a similar time period. Let's see. It's not getting explosive. 14%. Not huge. Litecoin would have been kind of a thing. Big at that point. I know this is kind of exhausting. I'm just interested. It looks like Bitcoin and Ethereum definitely were the two largest gainers of that news. It looks like Litecoin probably is in that camp. I'm seeing that big green candle that right in the area. Let's see what it says. This would be the 25th. Yep. So we'll go here. Those 2 days saw a nice 30% rally on Ethereum, or Litecoin. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin look like they were the big winners of all of that CBD study. Mm-hmm. And then you said, clarifying. Let's see. I mean, not everything rallied. I was about to say everything rallied the day, but that's not true. A lot of things rallied, and they rallied somewhat, but nothing really as big as the Bitcoin dominance. Let's see here. Yesterday, Ethereum technically did rally, even though it's in a bear trend. It rallied about 5%. That's nothing. The reason why is going to look at the Bitcoin dominance. Look, this is the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance itself jumped a full. It went up 2.7%, which is pretty significant. We're talking about dominance since we're tracking percentages here. Of course, we'll rip that down, but we're back up right now. We're kind of hovering back at the highs we had back in June. Keep an eye on that dominance. It makes a climb. It's continuing to go to the upside. So good question there. Some good research to kind of follow suit. But yeah, it looks like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin were the big winners back in 2019 that China kind of pumped. But of course, it was a short pump. Again, remember, it was like 2-day pump. And then things started trickling, slowly going to the downside. So keep an eye on that. Let's see here.
Got some.
There's another news, one.
Tim.
You do? Oh, let's cover some breaking news.
Yeah, nothing. It's not anything too crazy, but it is. Israel asks U.S. for $10 billion in emergency funding. So, the first comment is, "Oh, sure, we will turn the printer on right now." Not sure what's going to happen with that, but that could absolutely affect inflation if Congress decides to do that.
Yeah. We also could just misplace a good $10 billion and then, send that to them. But then Ukraine will cry. So, I mean, I'm trying not to be insensitive because what is happening in the world right now is very, very sad and disheartening. And, you don't wish it on anyone. And even seeing videos. I mean, I remember early on in the Ukraine war starting, there were videos that just broke your heart. Recently we've seen some videos in Israel and Palestine, that videos of families losing loved ones. And it's just very heartbreaking. This is the problem you get when the reason why America is kind of being pushed for this is because America also wants to insert themselves into anything that ever happens to be like the world police. And who gets to pay for it? The American people, the taxpayers. And we're pretty split as a country. Like, there's a part of me that's like, it's going to be weird to kind of see how that happens because that's another thing we're seeing happen in the United States is all the things happening in Russia and Ukraine and in Israel and Palestine. They're now bleeding into tensions we're having within our own borders because people are split about how they think that things should be happening here. So my guess, T-Sherm, is that we're going to send them $10 billion and we're going to turn money printers back on, and that's going to be terrible for the US dollar. It's going to be great for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because the dollar will start to be inflated once again. Well, it'd be absolutely horrible, and I don't think it's going to happen because it's the election year, but what would be absolutely horrible is if they turn the money printers back on and then Jerome Powell and the Fed also turn up interest rates. That is the equivalence of saying the government saying, screw American citizens. We're going to help the rest of the world. Again, there's arguments I think you can make for both sides, but
yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, again, I say all this to say, like, there's Israel. There are people in Ukraine and Israel. I remember hearing about this from somebody who said he was Ukrainian, and he had family members that were still there, and he understood the arguments being made that it's not America's place to fund it, but at the same time, he's like, due to America giving aid, I probably have family members that wouldn't be alive that are still alive now. So to him, it was very personal and very helpful. And I think the same thing can be said for people who have family members and loved ones in Israel that could say, like, man, that $10 billion, screw mine. I would do anything to keep my family alive. And that makes sense. That's a credible argument that pulls on heartstrings. The problem is you pull on too many heartstrings and you act too emotionally and you try to help everyone in the world. There's a thing in lifeguard. I was a lifeguard in high school. They literally say you cannot save someone who's trying to pull you down. If someone is drowning and you try to save them and they grab hold of you and they get frantic, you're supposed to kick them off of it because you can't help anyone if you're dead, right? Well, I think the same thing could be said. Like, listen, it's amazing if we live in a place of so much wealth that we can help the rest of the world. That's awesome. But America's struggling. America's in pain. There are people within the United States that need United States aid that are not getting it. We kind of need to get to a place where our economy and our people get healthy. And that way, now we can go out and we have the wealth to do so. Now we can go help other countries. This isn't the time, though. In my personal opinion, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, all that stuff. But I feel like we're not in a place right now as a country to be able to just divvy out $10 billion here and there for other countries who are struggling. But what do I know?
Yeah. But, I mean, another angle to look at it, too, is what if Israel asks China, for that money, right? Or they ask another
China
country.
has their own problems. Do you think China's sending $10 billion of aid to Israel?
It might be a calculated advantage to do so, right? I think that if anybody's going to be able to scrounge up $10 billion, it's probably only going to be up, China or the U.S. Maybe
we're a crypto channel, so we don't look into this. But we've obviously been in the United States, had to pay attention to the United States sending aid. I'm interested, with all the Ukraine, Russia stuff. I know China kind of backed and supported aspects of what Russia was doing. What does Chinese aid look like? Like, what is their gift?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I've seen some pretty sketchy thumbnails around the China and Israel link, so I didn't click on it, so I don't know. But some people are saying some things around it. How helpful is that? Well, guys, we do have some more. We had that breaking news. We have a couple other things here to keep in mind too, which is the big one, is the Speaker of the House of Congress. I'm going to continue to keep pounding this home because this is super important. And this is another tick in a good direction for crypto bulls. Jim Jordan,
yeah.
Jim Warren, Tim Jordan loses first House Speaker vote by a wider margin than expected. So again, this could be another one. First, it was Steve Scalise who did not win. He couldn't get a big enough vote, and now it looks like Jim Jordan's not going to make it as well. So that does, give Patrick McHenry and Tom Emmer a fighting chance. So I believe they were. I haven't read this article, but I believe they were kind of the next in line, one of those guys. So that could be pretty big. That could be pretty big, Tim. And then lastly here, Tesla's earnings. Tesla, Netflix, P&G, and Morgan Stanley have earnings tomorrow. Guys, in case you didn't know, which you can be forgiven for not knowing, you may not venture much outside of crypto, but we are right in the the second quarter right now of the. I'm sorry, that should not have been the. We're in we're in the.
You get it.
Right in the thick. Right in the thick.
That's a good location
of earning seasons here. So definitely be staying tuned here. Tesla is going to be a big one. That's at the market close tomorrow. It's going to be very, very big because that could be kind of the movement that we need to see from Tesla. Has been consolidating here. And
those higher. Look at that. That symmetrical triangle is looking kind of nice. This is Tesla.
Right. Yes, Tesla. Yeah, I'm like right at my break-even point right here, which is kind of nice. Thinking about picking up a little bit more, but not sure. Trying to go in the opposite direction and gather dry powder, not use it. But there we are. That's Tesla.
Yeah, I mean,
they've got their earnings tomorrow.
It's gonna be interesting. If you go to my screen, these traditionally, it doesn't always, and we just saw one in crypto break the downside, but remember statistically, and that's what technical analysis is, just trying to give you statistical advantages. Statistically, when you move into a symmetrical triangle pattern, you traditionally move to the upside. I also love the fact that this late in the game of a symmetrical triangle pattern, we found support once again. Daily didn't scream it. Let's see what the 4-hour chart says about it. Did 4-hour chart kind of scream at us that we should be bullish? Not necessarily, but I love that we did bounce on that support level, that rising support level right there. Kind of gives you hope that it's going to at least make another push to the upside and kind of make a decision up here. But of course, we reject there and a lower high again, it becomes more interesting for the bear. So that's kind of interesting to me. The Tesla stock's a little curious, but it's not flashing overly bearish or bullish. And it's finding support on the dynamic reactor too on the 4-hour. So give it a couple more days.
It's the perfect time
for a little more.
It's the perfect time for some manipulation to push it one way or the other. Right?
It's true.
So we might be seeing that. And my guess is that it'll make a move to the upside because it gives every advantage to the market. Right? The market really wants equities to keep going higher.
True.
Right. So we shall see. I'm really excited by this news that we could potentially be seeing, a new Speaker of the House that is very pro Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, we're getting close to where we need to wrap it up. By the way, guys, we do have our silver members only bro time right after this. I will be a little bit late. I do have to meet with a coworker very quickly before he leaves for the day, but T-Shroom's going to kick it off and I'll be joining in a little bit. Someone asked to hear Value Deal said, what's Bitcoin's next move? Well, that was what we talked about earlier in the show. But in a nutshell, if history repeats itself, it's sideways. Couple more weeks, sideways and down. But I do think we're going to see over the next about at this point now 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, be in the watching party of Bitcoin price because I think we're moving to the downside again, according to history and 4-year cycles. That would make a lot of sense. We are starting to slowly see some stuff happening economically that even though we have some FOMO news that comes out that makes you kind of feel good, as soon as you start feeling good, something else breaks. It's a little bad. So I don't know what the news will break, but be on the lookout for something that continues to manipulate the price up and down and up and down and up and down. But ultimately, it's all a maze to just go ahead and say, all right, guys, we're going to continue the 4-year cycle. We're going to get some new lows so whales can buy some more Bitcoin, and then price is going to take off next summer like you would not believe. Make sure you guys are in on that. That's all we have for you guys in the show today, though. Again, we're going to end a little bit early so that we can go ahead and jump on over there.
Well, we got to get to the trivia, though, before we're done.
We never found the answer to the trivia?
Oh,
that's true. That's true. And I had a last-second change to D as well, so I'm interested to see if my Gia Inklings win for me.
Okay. Yeah, you phoned a friend, and your friend gave you the right answer. It was 40 Thieves is the first street gang in the U.S. So here you go. The 40 Thieves, likely named after Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, were formed in 1825. That would have been, you would have been right on being the first pioneer of gangbangers. In 1825, alleged to be the first known and oldest New York City criminal street gang. The thieves consisted primarily of Irish immigrants and Irish Americans who terrorized the Five Point neighborhood of 19th century Manhattan. Another criminal gang called the 40 Thieves, named 40 Thieves, which had no criminal ties to the New York gang, was formed in London, England in 1828. I have a feeling there was a connection there. Anyway, an all-female London criminal gang known as the 40 Elephants. There's a lot to learn here, guys.
There's a lot, and it has very little to do with crypto, but it's very fun trivia.
Yeah, and then it's got a list of active and inactive gangs as well. So, are we pro gang, Tim?
We're pro bro gang, the investing bros gang, and Ada gang.
That was the cringiest way to answer that question. I am not pro Gain.
I think it could have gotten. Did you say you're not pro Rogaine? We knew that.
Nice, Tim. Nice. That was good.
All right.
That was good.
Guys, that's all we have for you today. It's been fun. I really enjoy these afternoon streams. Make sure if you guys do not subscribe to the channel already, hit that subscribe button. Check out our morning 9 a.m. news update happening every weekday morning. Also on the weekends, we got you covered because we have Saturday's show at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But with that said, that's all we have today. Even though T-Shroom looks very confused, we're going to go and wrap it up. And we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.